We're always told to find our comfort zone, right? To build a nice, cozy little life there. But what if that instinct, that deep-seated urge to avoid discomfort, is the very thing holding you back from real growth? In this explainer, we're going to tear that idea apart and show you why that feeling of unease, well, it might just be the most important signal your brain ever sends. You know the feeling I'm talking about, that little jolt, that internal flinch when you're about to have a tough conversation, or maybe you're staring at a blank page for a project you feel totally unprepared for. It's like every part of you just screams, nope, retreat. It's totally universal. But what if we've been reading that signal wrong this whole time? See, we're taught to treat discomfort like a warning sign, a big, flashing red light telling us to stop, turn back, danger ahead. But the science, it tells us the exact opposite. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, pay attention, I'm getting ready to change here. It's not a stop sign. It's more like one of those construction ahead signs for your brain's new superhighways.
So that brings us right into our first big idea, the comfort zone myth. We imagine it's this amazing destination we should all be aiming for, but really, it's not a goal at all.
Okay, here's the hard truth about your brain. Its number one job isn't to help you grow. It's to save energy. That's it. Think of it like a smartphone in low power mode. Familiar thoughts, old habits, those are like well-worn paths that take almost zero battery to travel. That's why we fall into the same patterns over and over. Your brain is just trying to be efficient. And, oh man, modern life just puts this tendency on steroids. We've got endless convenience at our fingertips, algorithms that know what we want before we do, and tech that's designed to remove every single ounce of friction from our lives. It's never been easier for our brain to just stay put, to turn that comfort zone into a comfortable cage. Which leads us to part 2, your brain on discomfort. So what is actually happening up there in your skull when you decide to step outside that cozy zone? The magic word is neuroplasticity. It sounds complicated, but it's just this incredible, scientifically proven fact that your brain can literally change its own wiring based on what you do. When you face a new challenge, when you struggle a little and put in some real effort, you're physically giving your brain the raw materials to build new, stronger connections. So it all boils down to this really simple 3-step dance. First, you get the input, some new, uncertain challenge. Then comes the signal, that feeling of discomfort. That's your brain firing up. And finally, if you stick with it, you get the output. New neural pathways start to form. But here's the thing. If you bail at step 2 because of the signal, you never, ever get to the prize in step 3. Now, we need to be really clear here. We are not talking about chronic, soul-crushing stress. We're talking about something scientists call eustress. You can just think of it as good stress. It's the kind that's temporary, something you choose to do, and something you can recover from. It's the stress of lifting a weight that's just a little bit heavier, not the stress of a job you can't stand. And the benefits are amazing. When you lean into this good stress, like trying to learn a new language or a musical instrument, your focus gets sharper, your memory actually improves, and you build real psychological resilience. You're literally training your brain to handle pressure better next time. And this is maybe the biggest takeaway from all the science. Just like at the gym, your muscles don't get bigger while you're lifting the weight. They grow when you're resting afterward. Your brain works the exact same way. The real rewiring, the real strengthening, happens after you've pushed through that moment of controlled discomfort. What's wild is that long before we had any of this fancy science, ancient philosophers had already figured this all out. Which brings us to section 3, the Stoics' secret weapon. For them, this wasn't just a neat idea, it was a hardcore training program for the mind. This quote, wow, it just cuts right to the heart of it. The Stoics knew, deep down, that a mind is just like a muscle. It needs resistance to get stronger. A mind that's always protected from difficulty doesn't become peaceful and happy. It becomes fragile, brittle. It shatters the first time a real challenge shows up. So how did they train? Well, they had these amazing techniques. They would practice voluntary discomfort, like taking a cold bath or eating simple food on purpose. They'd rehearse for stress by imagining worst-case scenarios. And they used this powerful mental trick to reframe every obstacle as a training opportunity. Let's talk about that stress rehearsal for a second. This isn't about making yourself anxious. It's actually the opposite. By calmly thinking through potential problems,
You're training the rational thinking part of your brain to stay in the driver's seat. So when actual pressure hits, you don't just react emotionally, you can respond thoughtfully. In this reframe, this is the secret sauce. When that feeling of discomfort pops up, instead of the automatic thought, ugh, I hate this, get me out of here, the reframe is, okay, this is making me stronger. That one little mental flip takes your brain from panic and avoidance to engaged, focused control. Okay, so we've got ancient wisdom backed by modern neuroscience. That's cool, but why is this so critical for us, right here, right now? Let's jump into Section 4, why this matters now. Look, the world is not getting any simpler or easier, and this chart shows the two different ways we can prepare for it. A mind that's only been trained on comfort will avoid anything complex and collapse when things get tough. But a mind that has been trained through discomfort, it adapts, it thinks clearly under pressure, it bounces back faster. I mean, which side of that chart do you want to be on? The biggest idea here is that resilience isn't some magical trait you're either born with or you're not. It's not a personality type. It's the direct result of a nervous system that has been intentionally trained to handle stress. It is a skill, and that means you can build it. And that leads us perfectly to our final section, where we stop talking and start doing. Section 5, your neural training challenge. The challenge is super simple. Sometime today, I want you to pick one small, totally manageable, slightly uncomfortable action. We're not talking about climbing a mountain here. Maybe it's finally saying that thing you keep rehearsing in your head, or just starting that task you've been putting off, or walking into a room where you don't feel like an expert yet. Something small that gives you that little feeling of resistance. And as you're doing it, or right before you do it, use that powerful Stoic reframe. Just say to yourself, this is neural training, because that's literally what's happening. You're not just crossing an item off a to-do list. You are actively rewiring your brain to be tougher, more capable, and way more resilient. So in the end, it all comes down to this. That feeling of discomfort isn't a glitch in your system. It's the signal that the system is upgrading. Growth isn't about finding motivation. It's about finding the right resistance. So the only question left is, what resistance are you going to choose to train with today?